Hi, how you going? I'm Slav, and this video is to help those people who are interested in camellias. I'm a bit of a camellia fanatic, particularly like Camellia Japonicas, but also Sasanquas live in the ACT. The Sasanquas don't do as well in the ACT, much better down the coast, but the Japonicas do really well, particularly if there's a fair bit of shade. So what I was going to do was show you my camellias, and they're just at the end of the flowering, so it's like just the beginning of spring. They'll probably flower for another week or two. But what I also wanted to do was to show you how to propagate camellias as well. I've got a few that I've put away, and I'll show you some more just so you can see how to do it. But anyway, here it is. I'll show you around the camellias and show you how to do a bit of propagation. Cheers. Yeah, so this is a classic Camellia Japonica. It's a pinkish white formal double with quite nice flowers, and I've got quite a few camellias to show you. It's really quite a nice pinkish white camellia. Beautiful one. Not sure of the name of that one. There's another pink one, another formal double. Probably should have taken more note as to their names. Now here's some of the camellias I've been propagating, and just got them under a bit of water there too, so they get a bit of water. Some mixture of propagation mix there as well. So what's required for propagation is that you have a bit of aeration in the soil, that it's not too compact. And I'll show you how to do one of the propagations in a sec. This one's Brushfield's yellow, starting to brown out a bit at the moment. As I said, it's beginning like halfway through September here in Australia, and they're starting to finish off. There's still quite a few flowering. This one's really quite an interesting one. It's got like a serrated type leaf, and the flowers quite beautiful. This one's a small red flower on this one. Oops, sorry about that. A small white one. Pinks. This one's a very formal white, double white. This one I really quite like. Pinky. Probably should know the name of them. Beautiful flowers. This one I do know the name of. It's Volunteer. Little Japonica, Camellia Japonicas. Quite nice flowers. A bit more unusual. This one. These other crawling. They're Sasanquas, those ones. That's another Volunteer. Also got some at the back here. Show you those in a sec. So with propagating, the idea is to propagate that part of the plant which has got new growth, typically where it's browner. So you can see where the actual new growth is in the camellia, where it's like a darker brown colour. So the idea is to have a look where there's new growth, and generally the new growth you can see is browner at the top. That's where all the new growth is, and the older part of the plant is where it's lighter brown. And you'll see just there's a little bud. So the idea is to try to cut off where the bud is. So the idea is to cut off the new part. new bud there. Just cut it off there. See where there's a bud. That's where you want to cut it at a 45-degree angle. Just cut off the excess leaf, and where you've got that bud, you want to cut it at a 45-degree angle. And that's what you want. Cut it off at a 45-degree angle. That's what you want to dip into the cutting powder where the new section is, and the idea is to cut where there's that little bit that's growing out near the leaf. Cut it at an angle. So the idea is to cut it there at an angle. Take off these bottom leaves. And the other thing that's suggested is to cut these leaves off. I think it's just so it doesn't stress it out as you propagate it. See how these ones, the leaves have been cut. The idea is to cut the leaves. It just gives it, by cutting the leaves off, gives it more survivability as it's propagating, or doesn't stress the cutting, is the idea. Take that bud off. So you see there it is. I'll cut it at an angle, so that the idea is that the roots will actually grow from there. Yeah, so just showing you that again. You see where that little shoot is coming off from that stem? That's where you want to cut it at an angle, and that's where the root will come from. Just there. And there's different types of cutting compound that you can use. So there's the Yates plant cutting powder, or you can go for the Yates Clonix rooting hormone. Some people separate the powder out so as to not to quarantine any potential issues with the cutting, but I generally just dip it in there. So right, what it is, so you know. More red, informal. So I'm trying to film this and write. It's a bit difficult. Put that there. And the other thing is just put the, you know exactly what's there. And as with the others, just cut off the leaves as well. That'll just help with its survivability. And make sure you give them plenty of water. Yeah, try to put them like on the edge of the pot, so you get the heat from the pot and the moisture, and that'll promote the root growth as well. There you've got the new growth with the bud. Put into the cutting powder, and put that into the pot. So I create a bit of a hole there, just so it doesn't stress it, pushing it in. Grab the cutting and put it into the gel. So there's plenty on there. And then stick it in the hole. Just cover it up. The other thing that's a good idea is to label them. Just write on a label and put it next to the plant, so you know exactly what you've put in there. In this case, it's that formal pink double, which I'll label in a sec. You see where I've cut the leaves, and I've cut. Let's get that to focus. So I've cut that at a 45-degree angle, just near where that little shoot's coming out, and that's where the root will come from. This time I'll put it in the cutting powder. Nice cutting powder. on the end of that, and it just like a steroid, just helps promote the root growth. Put them in there. And, hopefully in a couple of months there'll be some roots on that, as long as I keep giving it some water. Might show another video in a couple of months time where you can actually see the roots coming. So these ones already had roots, but the idea with the pot also is to try to put it on the edge of the pot. That way you get the heat from the side of the pot, which helps promote the root growth as well. That's the other suggestion. I've got to cut those leaves yet. Yeah, so just labelled it formal pink double. Just whack it next to the plant. And the idea with these is to keep them pretty moist. So hit them with a bit of water. Yeah, so make sure they stay nice and moist. Propagations, and in a month or so, hopefully they'll would have rooted, and you can put them in a pot and grow them. It's a pretty good way of propagating them. Yeah, so this is just some camellias from my garden. I've got about 25 Camellia Japonicas. They come in various small to large sizes. Really quite beautiful flower. I'm looking to put some more of this at volunteer. The brush field's yellow, pinks and whites. And some more on this side. Quite a beautiful flower, and so what I normally do is cut them with the bit of the stem on them. That way they can suck up a bit of water. They do brown off after a while, and we just replenish them. The red rose is one that I particularly like, which is that one there. And there's a volunteer again. Really quite a stunning flower. I've also got a bunch of Camellia Japonicas. I generally find they, particularly here in the ACT, they don't grow so well. I've got a place down the coast where they grow really, really well. Also got quite nice flowers, the Japonicas. The Japonicas tend not to be a whole flower, and they tend to have like the petals from the flowers tend to drop. Whereas the Japonicas have a more complete flower, as can be seen here. So here's a Camellia Japonica that gets a bit more sun, and you see that's not quite as healthy as these two camellias, which get a lot more shade. So I mean, that's, yeah, they're definitely a cool climate. But one of the things with camellias, like if you can put them in a shady spot, it is advantageous for their health, I tend to find. So something to consider if you're buying camellias and wanting to plant them. You know, I just love the dark green leaves of camellias. They're just beautiful. Got this one in this spot here. Red rose, one of my favourites, a formal double. Red, looks a lot like a rose, and hence why it's called red rose. Makes sense, doesn't it? Really stunning plant. My wife likes this one in particular. Beautiful plant. There it is, Camellia Japonica. Fabulous plant, and hopefully propagate some or buy some, but definitely put some in your garden.